going on, everybody? Welcome back to our channel, Red Bull Coffee and Crime. It is your girl, Red Bull, here. We got um, Coffee with us and
Good
Norman.
morning.
Good morning. And Norman from the Norman Nick Show. How are you
Morning.
guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Yourselves?
I am here.
I'm tired. My whole life is falling apart today, okay? But we're here. So you guys, we're gonna go over part two of the divorce documents. We all have we're on a really short time, but we're gonna try to get to the important parts that we want to go over. And if needed, we'll do like a part three. Um, all right. So this is for what? The custody and child support.
hmm
So this matter came before the court based upon a stipulation of the parties for entry of an order modifying the judgment of dissolution of marriage previously entered uh, herein
Herein.
for herein for convenience. The parties will be referred to as mother and father. The stipulation between the parties is in writing, signed by each, and is made a part of this judgment as provided by ORCP 67F. The court received the stipulation, and based upon it made the following findings. Since entry of the judge herein, the following substantial changes in circumstances have occurred. A. Custody and parenting time. Mother plans to move out of the country and desires to award primary custody to father. B. Child support calculation. In light of the changes in parenting time and the fact that father will now pay for work related child care costs, child support needs to be modified. An Oregon child support guideline calculation is attached. The calculation reflects the new parenting time schedule and the fact that the father is paying daycare at the rate of $675.
Uh,
So, you guys want to say anything about that or keep going and then discuss?
well, as far
No.
as like the child support, it was modified because she just to make sure we're on the same page. It was modified because of her health issues she was claiming, but had no
Yeah.
proof of.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not even sharing the screen. I'm sorry, you guys. So it was modified because of her health problems, which that's what this whole thing's about right now.
Okay.
All right. So, um, all right. So $675 per month. The guidelines indicate mothers should pay approximately $428 per month to father in child support. The parties have agreed that this sum is unjust and inappropriate because of the mother's health condition and the needs of the parties. This court accepts the parties' agreement that the court should find the presumption is rebutted pursuant to OAR 137-50330, blah, blah, blah. For the time being, neither party shall be required to pay child support to the other. See supplemental judgment. The parties have agreed that a supplemental judgment confirming these changes should be entered in the form appearing below. Now, therefore, based upon the foregoing, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that the judgment of dissolution of marriage previously entered herein be, and the same is hereby modified as follows. 1. Custody and parenting time. The party shall continue to share joint legal custody with primary physical custody of Kyron R. Horman awarded to the father. Mother shall have parenting time with Kyron 1 weekend per month. Father agrees to deliver Kyron to Seattle on the weekends the parties agree to be mother's parenting time. Unless otherwise agreed, the parting time shall end at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Major holidays will be shared by parties as they agree. Childcare. Henceforth, father shall be responsible for the expense of Kyron's childcare expense. Child support commencing on the, and we blanked out that, neither party shall be required to pay child support to the other.
And
So,
that was the first day of April 2004.
okay, so you do have that date.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Um, so long as ORS 107-108 continues to be a valid law in Oregon, payments for a child shall continue beyond the period of minority if the child is a child attending school within the meaning of Oregon law. But in all events, said payment shall terminate upon the marriage, emancipation, or the 21st birthday of said child, whichever date or even first occurs. Oh, wow. So it's not 18.
Not if the child continues to college.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Number 4, remittance of support, no wage withholding. ORS 25.311 requires that in most cases, support must be paid by income withholding from the payer's employer. The law allows the court to grant an exception in certain circumstances. In this case, the parties have agreed that in lieu of wage withholding, child support shall be payable by deposit into a bank account to be designated by the support recipient. The court accepts this alternate payment method based upon the fact that it has been represented to this court that there is no support um, arranged in this case. The payer has not previously been granted an exemption from wage withholding, and the parties have agreed in writing to this alternative agreement. 5, dependency exemption. Henceforth, respondents shall have the right to claim the dependency exception uh, for Kyron. Number 6, medical life insurance. The provisions contained in the stipulated judgment of dissolution of marriage relating to health and life insurance are hereby ratified and approved and incorporated by reference as it fully set forth herein. Attorney fees. Each party shall pay his or her own legal fees and costs incurred herein. 8, ratification of prior judgment, except as modified herein. The prior judgment of this court is hereby ratified and affirmed. Number 9, statutory notices. Oregon law requires that you receive the following notices: A, change of residence pursuant to ORS 107-159. Neither parent shall move to a residence more than 60 miles further distance from the other parent without giving the other parent reasonable notice of this change of residence and providing a copy of such notice to the court. B, notice regarding child support and visitation. ORS 107-106 requires that you receive the following notice: the terms of child support and parenting time visitation are designed for the child's benefit and not the parent's benefit. You must pay support even if you are not receiving visitation. You must comply with visitation orders even if you are not receiving child support. Violation of child support orders and visitation orders is punishable by fine, imprisonment, or other penalties. Um, you want to?
Publicly funded help is available to establish, enforce, and modify child support orders. Paternity establishment services are also available. Contact your local district attorney, domestic relations clerk, court clerk, or Department of Human Services. Um, it goes, let's go to C, notice of potential income withholding. The support order is enforceable by income withholding under ORS 25311 to 25318, 25351 to 25367, and 25722. Support payments for 1 month whenever withholding shall occur immediately whenever there are ranges, and that really doesn't matter because they're not paying child support. I'm just sort of scanning through because a lot of this is just legal.
Yeah.
Notice of periodic review, communication, changes in information. This is stuff that is just standard in every child support case.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything that's going to change. So when we go down to the next page, it's talks about their attorneys, and then just what it says. There's no child support amount. There's one child, and it's due to start on April 1st of 2004.
Okay.
So then we just have the signatures where they both signed. And this was done on the 16th of March
And
of
you guys,
2004.
this is important because this is what we were speaking about, like, in the book.
Well, let's figure out how old Kyron was, because Kyron was born September 2nd of
September.
2000,
Oh,
or
I thought it was
September
September
9th.
9th. Yeah.
It is
Mhm.
September 9th of 2002, correct?
Um.
That's the date I
Yeah.
got.
Yeah. 22. Yeah.
All right.
2002.
And this is happening March 16th of 2004.
Yeah, because
So
they don't
Kyron,
even have Kyron's name in the divorce documents because they couldn't even figure out his name yet. That's
Right.
how
right.
soon it. Yeah.
Didn't you say something, Norman, about like trying to get child support and he wasn't born, or what was?
Well, the thing is usually before they were married, so I think this is an exception to the rules when you're married. But
Mhm.
usually, when this situation happens, before a baby is even breathing air, there has to be a DNA test before anything could be established. But if they're circumventing that because Kaine is convinced that Kyron is his no matter what, then
Right.
they can go ahead and circumvent that. But I would have went and got a DNA test, especially if she's got STDs and all this shit, before the divorce.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because from what I know, there is no DNA test done.
No. No, Kane took responsibility for him blindly. So, that means that Kyron was less than 2.
So he was less
Right.
than 2 years old.
Yeah, because he wouldn't have turned 2 until September of 2004. And we're in March. So, he's like, what, 15,
Well,
16 months old?
yeah, I'm not good with numbers, but yeah, you're right. You're right. I think it's because 2004 March, right?
Yep. Yep.
April, May, June. Yeah, because he would have been 2 that next
September.
September. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
So,
he was just a little spud. And, um, you know, Kaine already had visitations, so they were already spending their weekends with Kyron, because I don't remember, and it's in there. Do you remember what Kaine's agreement was? How much visitation time he would get?
I well,
I'm gonna look.
I
You
mean, I
you go
just
ahead and talk about what you're talking about. I just want to find out now.
okay, because I just know that I just remember the Desiree thing we were just talking about. But
Right.
all right, so you guys, this is what we wanted to bring these documents up. People were asking, how is this? Why is this relevant? Where is the proof? Where is the receipt? So DY biomom gave Kaine primary custody, not sole, in March of 2004. The book claims she visited Canada in August of 2004, and it implies that she moved there shortly after. She also claims that the agreement would revert back to her having primary custody of Kyron when she returned to Oregon, and that Kaine didn't honor their agreement. The agreement never said that. She also claims in the book that Kaine was still paying child support to her even after giving up primary custody, but that's not what the divorce documents actually say. She also claims to have fought for custody when she returned, but there was nothing ever filed. These are the only documents there are. Um, and let's go back to, she also claimed the reason she went to see a divorce attorney was because she caught Kaine having an affair. And that's not what the divorce papers say. Also, she claims she went into premature labor due to KH giving her an STD, which is also not mentioned in the divorce documents. You guys, is that something that would, be mentioned?
Well, I would think that if that's the reason, I mean, usually you're pretty bitter
Uh huh.
and you sort of want to call them out. And, if she could have proven that Kaine was having an affair,
Oh, yeah.
that would have given her rights to spousal support, I would have thought. Maybe Norman could help me out there.
Yeah, Norm.
Say that last part again.
If,
If
oh, go ahead.
if Kaine was cheating on Desiree and she
Hmm.
filed divorce for that fact, wouldn't that usually result in her being allowed to get spousal support?
Correct. That would constitute for alimony if she could prove it. But remember, she couldn't prove it because it was we when they did the background check. From what I understand, they didn't. Terry and Kaine didn't start their relationship until after the divorce.
Right. But in the book, she states that Kaine was having an affair, and that's why she filed for divorce.
And
Yeah, I that's what she said. But that again, that wasn't. That's what she told the author of that book.
Right. But the
Yeah, and
court documents, I mean, she would have been bitter and
yeah.
and she would have wanted that alimony. I feel that in my heart.
Oh yeah, you know that girl. That woman. The whole reason she filed for divorce was to set herself up financially. That whole divorce decree is giving her a safety net. It has
yeah,
nothing to do with Kyron. That is her safety net because she's basically pulling a legalized Karen move and saying, "Look, I can't take care of my kid, but I deserve to be the mother of my child. And this is what's going to happen. So these are the rules of engagement. He's going to drop the kids off to me in Seattle. I'm going to see him every other weekend and be the weekend warrior, but I'm still going to be in control of everything." And that's
yeah,
not how the system, that's not how raising a child works. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be a free agent and to decide on the weekend that you're full-time mom and nobody else can go against your judgment.
bam. You got that right.
But
Hold on.
I hope I answer your question. To me, it
You
sounds like
did. You
she
did.
did not. This divorce was not for Kyron's best interest. It was for her best interest.
Yep.
Right, right. And knowing some of the backstory with that, the fact that she's so bitter now, she would have been just as bitter in the divorce. And if she could have gotten Kaine for cheating on her, she would have at that point.
Yeah, I agree. But there was no alimony to be taken because he wasn't cheating at that point, or he
Right.
wasn't cheating. Period. They had divorced amicably because of irreconcilable differences.
Yeah.
Right. That's the point I was making. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So the next, you guys, she also, the whole STD, it's not mentioned in the divorce documents. The expected due date for Kyron was September 15th, 2002. Kyron was born, just a few days before their original due date. Desiree also claims that she and Kyron moved out in December of 2002. However, she acquired a new home and claims in the divorce documents. Oh, wait, sorry.
Didn't she
Uh,
say something about how she gave birth early in the book because she was stressed or some shit?
Because
it
she got
was a
it, because Kaine
STD.
gave her, yep.
Well, she didn't mention the STD or she mentioned it in the book, but in the divorce decree though, she didn't
There's
mention
no
the
mention
STD.
of that.
Okay.
And it shows that she didn't deliver him. I mean, when you're pregnant, 40 weeks is an estimation.
I was going to say
And
the same thing. They don't know the exact day and time a baby is going to be born.
he was due on the 14th.
He was
He
due
came on the
on
9th.
he was due on the 15th and he was born on the 9th.
So 4 days.
That's not uncommon. Now, if he
Not at
was two
all.
months early, that would
Yeah.
be something to say, okay, you were stressed, your body needed, you know what I mean? But yeah, 4 days, get the fuck out of here.
And so
Right?
it also, I'm just going to read this so then we could discuss it so I can get this over. So Biomom also claims that she and Kyron moved out December 2002. However, she acquired a new home and claims in the divorce documents that her and Kyron had been living there since his birth. And then did I already read that part? She gave Kaine primary custody, not sole, in March of 2004. The book claims she visited Canada in August of 2004, and it implies she moved there shortly after. She also claims that the agreement, oh, I did read that, but would revert back to her having primary custody of Kyron when she returned to Oregon, and that Kaine didn't honor their agreement. The agreement never said that. She also claims in the book that Kaine was still paying child support to her even after giving up primary custody, and that's not what these divorce documents shows. She also claims in the book to have fought for custody when she returned, but she never filed anything after giving Kaine primary custody. She always had visitation. She was planning on moving to Canada prior to March 2004. The original custody and divorce agreement was set in place in February 2003.
The
Desiree's a
original custody and
Sorry, go
huh?
ahead.
Oh,
My bad. I'm watching us live at the
I
same
was
time.
like, what? Who is
My
that?
bad.
The original custody and divorce agreement was set in place in February 2003. Desiree's attorney withdrew her representation once the original custody matter and divorce settled. Also, where Biomom claims that Kaine didn't follow through on the agreement, Biomom stated under oath that she read the agreement in full and understood what it said. It was even notarized. So this person that this is where it all started from somebody else. So this person said, I truly believed the bio mom in the beginning. I read the book. I highlighted a lot in the book. I referenced the book a lot. I felt bad for her, still do. But now I learned that the ugly custody battle she entails upon the public wasn't true at all. She willingly gave up primary custody of Kyron well before her visitation to Canada in August of 2004. She had plans to move to Canada prior to March of 2004, literally a year after she was granted primary custody of Kyron. She lied about Kaine not paying child support. That ceased when she gave up custody per the supplemental agreement. She lied about Kaine not following through with the agreement. She read the agreement and signed an affidavit under oath in front of a notary public. If she filed for divorce because Kaine was having an affair, then why not file on the grounds of adultery? It's a much better outcome for her that way. She filed due to
And yeah.
irreconcilable differences. Why lie about premature labor? And that's when we get into he was supposed to be due the 15th. So this person said she wasn't bedridden or sick. Her credibility is gone.
And I think that's what this all boils down to. You know, when we discussed with James the book,
Mm-hmm.
James said, "Look, this isn't true," but we're talking to a person that trust me, I believe everything James says, but
Oh yeah.
that doesn't mean that he has to be telling me the truth and that I wouldn't know the difference. But when you have a court paper that says this is the way it was versus the way she says it was, that makes James's claims that I never did any of that um way heavier than what it did 10 minutes before we read that,
We've
because
even, yeah.
we know she made up and twisted things to look differently.
We've
Well,
even seen
let me.
James. Oh,
I
sorry.
want to go back if we can, not to interrupt you guys' flow, but I really want to go back to this whole STD thing and the reason why. And I would love the documents to prove or to prove otherwise why Kyron's eyesight was so bad. Now, I pulled up gonorrhea and chlamydia according to Google, and it says gonorrhea and chlamydia are bacteria that can be passed from an infant pregnant woman to their baby during birth. Both gonorrhea and chlamydia can cause eye infections in newborns. Newborn eye infections caused by gonorrhea can lead to permanent eye damage or blindness.
Oh my goodness. And now we do know that Kyron's eyesight, and I could actually find out exactly what that was because
The condition.
Terry said the condition in our group. And I wonder
So,
if that condition is
and
coincides with this.
as far as credibility is concerned, when you look at all three parents, bio moms, Terry and Kaine, while she has that baby in her stomach, that is her responsibility for prenatal care. And I don't care if you're rich, poor, or whatever, you can go to the state and get screened for, matter of fact, they give you an STD test when upon knowing that you're pregnant.
Absolutely.
So that way they can make sure the baby is safe. So if she did not do prenatal care and get rid of that STD during that time and found out after the fact, that makes her not just a bad mother, that makes her in all definitions a fucking whore because she's
Yeah.
sleeping around, she's not protecting her body, she's not protecting her kid, but she wants to go to divorce and wants to put it in public about how broke she is and all this Karenicity about her health and all these problems that she has. She has a million excuses, but has no game plan set of what she could have did or took recognition of what she could have did differently that would have changed the outcome.
Exactly.
Well
I mean,
said.
Exactly.
Well said. I mean,
credibility is out the window as far as I'm concerned.
And that's the point where we're sort of getting, just because I think it's very dangerous to have a book out there that is supposed to be the story of a missing child that obviously leads everybody to believe that he's dead and there's no reason to look for him.
and you guys, let me hold on. Let me. So Rose Thorne says, not surprising, all the things she says makes her look perfect, but yet again we catch the lies. Where all the lies begin. Not only did she do this to Kyron, yet another son. She doesn't keep any of her kids. That speaks volume. Rainey, she said that's why they give newborns those eye drops when they're born. Pretty sure that would have been available when Kyron was born. Um, I've
Right.
had
But
eight.
but if the eye drops are given to the newborns to clear out the filament that
Yeah,
that the baby gets when because their skin flakes off from all that juice and
Right.
all that, so they
here,
clear out
I'll
the
take
eyes
it.
because the baby's eyes are literally open in that in the plasma or whatever that cytoplasma or whatever that's in the belly. So when it comes out and hits the oxygen, that's why the baby's eyes are usually always closed and they have to like force them open and get the eye drops in there, is to clear out all that junk. But I don't think those eye drops that they give you when they're first born are to clear up any chlamydia or gonorrhea.
No,
That should have been cleared up prenatal
it says that
or postnatal.
okay, so the eye drops are um, so newborn babies routinely get eye medicine and vitamin K shots soon after birth. Both prevent serious conditions. Why do
Hmm.
newborns get eye medicine? Eye drops or ointment are placed in newborns' eyes after birth. This is to protect babies from getting bacterial eye infections that can occur during birth. Untreated, these infections can cause serious problems, including blindness. The ointment or drops may make a baby's eyes look cloudy. So I know when I've had my 8 kids, they give those drops. Like if you have something before you have your baby, they test you in the hospital as well, and they're pumping antibiotics into your body.
Right.
What is that thing called? It's not an STD, but a lot of moms get it before their babies are born. Coffee. Um,
Preeclampsia?
no, it's something
Uh,
that can be passed to the baby, but they have to give you the antibiotics like before the baby. I forgot, but they pump you with a bunch of antibiotics. And if,
yes.
like Norman said, if you were getting, the health care, she was making enough money for it.
Well,
Um,
there's more than just that can be passed to the
strep,
baby. Yeah,
strep
because you can
B,
pass AIDS, herpes, syphilis,
Yeah.
all that stuff can be passed to the baby.
Rainy Lynn, yeah, strep. Hey, Arctic, how are you? Strep B. So, you know, I don't, I don't see how eye drops could get rid of chlamydia in a baby,
Well,
right?
yeah, it's a bacteria. So basically, the eye drops, it kind of like, you know how we do eye drops for red eyes or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, if you have like pink eye and you're using eye drops, all that's going
Mm-hmm.
to do is flush out all that gunk. So it
It's
gives you
not
that sleep
gonna.
in your, yeah. So it pushes all that gunk to the corners of your eyes where it turns into sleep or whatever you guys call it, and you can remove it. So
Yep.
basically, the eye drops that they give those kids the babies when they first come out, is just to clear out their eyes from anything that could be infectious or whatever. But it's not for STDs, is what I'm saying.
Yep.
Right. And let's look at it. There's 9 months that the baby grows inside of you. So I'm definitely interested. I'm going to do more research because, like I said, I know that the diagnosis is in our group.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to look into that and see because that's an interesting fact that I did not know.
I mean, and also in these divorce documents, guys, she makes enough money to go see a doctor. Um, she makes plenty of money, and if not, there is Medicaid. I get on Medicaid every time I was pregnant. I'm not ashamed, and I went to every single appointment there was. I got checked, basically every single time. But um, Rose says, bingo, so the drops didn't cut it. She didn't get the care for herself. That was her responsibility. Falls short, once again, not only for herself, for Kyron.
Well, it says a lot too about her ailment that she claims she had, but there's no proof of. You know what I mean? Even if she did have like a kidney infection or was passing, kidney stones or
Right.
whatever, and it hurt or whatever, that's not something that's if it is something that's serious, you're not just going to talk about it. You're going to show proof about it. Like, look, Your Honor, this is why I can't work here. My medical documents or my excuse. It doesn't
Exactly.
detail. It doesn't say what the exact issue is, but as you can see, because of HIPAA, I am disclosing to you that this is what my doctor said. This is why I have to be off of work because I do have this issue.
And why
But
didn't she want to do a
she
deposition?
didn't send any documents in the court. She didn't send any in the divorce decree. There was nothing in any of the, even after the divorce, when they tried to do a modification, she still didn't produce any medical documentation to prove anything that she was saying. So just like I
Mm-hmm.
said before, she relied on the courts and her Karenicity to push her agenda through. Instead of showing proof, she just got loud or just made accusations, and they just were like, "Look, this woman's too much. Just give it to her. Let's pick our battles." You know what I mean? So they
Mm-hmm.
Right.
probably didn't want
Right.
to test her with that shit because she's such a fucking Karen.
Yeah. I love when you get I love when you use that word.
There's no other word to describe it.
The thing that pops up in my head is the thumbnail you use with the blonde headed woman. Like, Is there anything else that you guys want to show in the documents now, before the next time? I mean, we are going to post these guys, but we wanted to explain because people are not understanding like why this is important. If
Well, and
Carrie's stuff is important, if all of her stuff is put out there and she doesn't deny anything, like we always say, everybody's else's stuff needs to come out in the open. And you don't know what it could lead to.
well, and it, like I said, it's credibility. Come on
Yeah.
now, your kid's missing. Every skeleton in my closet is going to be emptied. I'm not hiding nothing.
No. Rainey says she also claimed that Kyron inherited his bad vision from her, so she's telling many versions of why his vision was poor.
Hold on. What glasses did she wear other than? I don't remember seeing her wearing glasses full time. If she does wear glasses, I think I see her put them on to read.
Yeah,
But
that's the only time.
I don't think she has nearsighted issues where she has to wear them for driving.
That's a good question.
So what, I mean, unless they skipped a generation as far as eye issues, but again, I'm not a health professional, but my understanding is eye conditions are not like hereditary, kind of like cancer, I guess. Because you can get cancer through your genes or whatever, because you have a
Right.
hereditary trait.
Hold on, you guys, real quick. Real quick. My aunt's taking my. Hold on.
But as far as like arthritis can skip a generation. You know what I mean? Because it's
Right.
happened in my family. My mom doesn't have it as bad as my grandmother and I have it, but you know what I mean. Or my sister doesn't have it either. But it's still, it still happens. But I've never heard of like eye
Diabetes.
condition.
There's several things like that.
I've
Definitely.
never heard of a hereditary eye condition. Let me Google it before I put my foot in my mouth. But I've never heard of a hereditary eye condition.
Well, I do think that maybe nearsightedness can be genetic, but I'm not 100%. So you Google.
I'm doing it. So I guess there are some. So cross-eyedness, lazy eye, nearsightedness, farsightedness, blurred vision due to irregular shape of the cornea. So those could be genetic. But I don't see where. I've never seen her with glasses. All of her interviews have been with no glasses on.
Right. And like I said, I know the diagnosis is in the group, so I'm gonna look it up and see what is said about it.
Okay.
We'll discuss that on a whole other show because that's interesting. Very good point.
Yeah, because he didn't have diabetes at all, so his eyesight should have been affected by that.
Right. There wasn't any of that. And I feel for Desiree on a level that she lost a child. He's missing, but she just tends to then take all my sympathy that I want to have for her and destroys it when she makes statements like, I don't, finding Kyron at this point is not what's important.
Well, if you compare her to the other two parents, she's all victim, just like, just like a Karen, she's victim. She's not taking responsibility. She wants everybody to give her money and, for breathing and everything else, but she doesn't do anything with that money other than spend it on herself. She doesn't.
And she definitely, they definitely like to play that too. You say that, and then I'm thinking, I liked a post a while back that was shared on James's page, and it was a bee house, and they blew it up and made it sound like this bee house was given to James as some sort of a sting against Desiree because Kyron was allergic to bees. And, She gave. We should all be saving the damn bees at this point.
You guys,
Well,
we
my
have
whole thing is
everything
that
that
is so
they.
petty. That is so petty to kind of correlate to. I mean,
Well,
I take Victoria, I take my 16-year-old twice a week for allergy shots because she's allergic to Jamaican grass, which is very common here in, I guess, in Arizona. So just because he had an allergy to something, it wasn't like he had a peanut allergy. You know what I
right,
mean? Where there was a lifetime thing where you could being allergic to bees is something that you can overcome with allergy shots. You know what I mean? You could harness your body
right.
towards it. So to parallel that to say, oh, this was a dig because he got bit one time and had or got stung one time and had a super reaction. I think the issue that I have with her is she exasperates
Yes.
everything that comes in her
Yes.
direction. To
Terry
victimize
bought her
herself.
house on Desiree's birthday, which we've
I was
proven
about
that's
to
not
say that.
true.
I was just about to say that because it pisses me off. They said that Terry bought her house on the day on Desiree's birthday to taunt her. We literally, all you have to do is pull up the information, put in the address, all the information, when they bought it, who owned it before. It all came up. It was not Desiree's birthday.
Look, I don't know Terry personally, but I know of Terry through the grapevine. And Terry does not seem like the type of person to give a fuck about Desiree to
Right.
time her real estate investment to some petty ass shit from the past that she's trying to fucking discontinue herself with.
That
Why
is
would-
absolutely what I said. Who is going to go through all of that?
I think Desiree thinks about Terry way more than Terry thinks about Desiree.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And Terry posts all the time in groups. She says the focus needs to be on Kyron. She humanizes Kyron. She shows the love that she has for him in every single picture. And everywhere else, whoever shares pictures, there's none of that. It's just
Right. You don't know.
where is Kyron, Terry, and Dee Dee.
I have learned
it's just
more.
a cesspool of her jealousy. It's just all these years she has never found God or found solace or did yoga or did anything to relieve her stress, about what happened in the
Right.
past. She's just reliving it every fucking day that she wakes up. And the number one target she has is Terry for her grief. And instead of getting real counseling, all that money that she spent and was given to her, instead of buying reupholstering her house and buying her new car and all this other crap that she did, clothes and whatever else she did to make herself feel better, she should have went to fucking counseling.
Right. Gotten some
Exactly.
real help because there's nothing wrong with that. It's a big deal, you're allowed to have.
And after all these years, you can't keep saying the same shit without proof. You can't keep blaming Terry, and there's no proof. I mean, the FBI looked at it, the police. Now you got
How many DAs have had this case?
3.
Yep. So what? They're all idiots. They all don't know their job. What? How does that work?
My whole thing is that even if she did do it, why are you so hung up on it that you can't move on to anything else? Why can't we just go find the body? Or why can't we, you know what I mean? Why can't
we why is it
spend the
so
money
important?
on a psychic at least or something like that to help us give us some direction?
We had psychics and, some of them actually make sense, but
now what I want to get at is, I understand the importance of discrediting, bad information and all the muddy waters. What I want to get at is finding the boy. Now, now we've already talked about this before, but I'm understanding, and I'll bring this up since we haven't talked about it yet, but my understanding is there's some drainage manholes that are on the property of the school where you could lift up the crate and look down and you could see the sewer. So my question is during that week it was raining when he went up missing, were any of those manholes uncovered? Because Kyron did have other incidences where he left the school and the school was busy, so he could have slipped outside when Terry left. Did he go out back and maybe fall in one of those manholes? And we just didn't see, the cadaver dogs or the bloodhounds or whatever couldn't smell him being underground.
exactly.
Right. I mean, and that to me is a very scary, real possibility from the day that I seen that. Like, I am excited and really interested to know
And then
why.
on top of the manholes, the other thing, and I again through the grapevine, inadvertently talking, with Terry and with you guys investigating. From my understanding, also the groundskeeper Tandy with the yellow teeth that was writing all the kitty porn novels and stuff like that, as far as
Yeah.
like the gay teenage novels and all that stuff, very descriptive novels. And he's what, in his 50s and 60s at the time. Well, he's in his 50s at that time, writing about teenage boys having sex and smoking weed and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So
Right.
he was not interviewed, from what I understand, and the principal's brother, who was supposed to be head janitor or whatever, not only had a criminal history, but apparently had a violent criminal history.
Hey,
So,
you guys, hold on. The dentist is calling now. I will be right back.
oh,
Mommy duties. Mommy duties.
you're good.
Wait, that mom did it. I was at a concert one time.
Go answer your phone
Okay.
call.
Okay, yeah. I'll be right back.
We got this. We'll hold it down till you get back. Yeah, I think all these factors need to be looked at. Or Bio Mom Desiree should have been investing in all these other avenues instead of just honing in on her arch enemy or her perceived arch enemy.
Right. I will never understand how you don't question the school. How they're, that would have been my first thing I've always said. If the school had done their job, even if Terry did this, if the school did their job, they would have known that he was not, Terry would have had to have answered at a 2-hour mark, because at 10 o'clock, well, it would have only been an hour and 15 minutes or so, actually, because if they'd have made the phone calls, when Terry didn't answer, they'd have called Kaine. When Kaine didn't answer, they'd have called Desiree. But they would have known that Kyron wasn't at school. And if Terry had him, that would have shortened the amount of time that she had to do anything.
I just don't see the timeline. I mean, we can look at this because we look at cases because we're in the crime nation. We study these cases, multiple cases. And when I compared this to like other like let's look at the smart case, Amber
Right.
Smart or whatever, you know what I mean? She was kidnapped by a neighbor and then was held for what was it, years before she got away. And she was right down the street from her parents' house. So
Right.
as far as this is concerned, this has been a lot longer than, you know what I mean? And as far as
Right.
hiding, he's not a little girl, is what I'm saying. So the investment, if it was a predator, the investment of having him long term in a basement, cellar, or whatever, keeping him fed so he could do whatever, that's not as plausible as it would be if there was a girl that was kidnapped. You know what I mean?
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? He would want to keep her healthy so he could keep attacking.
I think about, my name is Steven. His brother actually ended up being a serial killer. But he was kidnapped, and they kept him. The guy that kidnapped him kept him, and then used him to lure other kids, and that is how Stephen ended up getting the courage to break free, was because he had helped kidnap another boy, and he didn't want that child to go through what he had already been through.
Yeah.
So, that case, it does happen.
Well, I was telling Red Bull earlier, as far as like the timeline and the evidence or lack thereof to show where he was kidnapped versus where he may have been, the odds of him being kidnapped in the time frame and disposing of a body or whatever it is that happened, because not only would Terry have to kidnap him from the school, people would have to see him leave with her, which nobody did. And then they would have to figure out how to dispose of the body within 2 hours before everybody, was aware of what was going on. That doesn't leave much window of opportunity. And all these years that went by, even with Dee Dee, if she was involved as an accomplice, something would have broke. If there was some foul play that was involved, somebody would have cracked, somebody would have said something, somebody would have slipped, especially after having 3 DAs, the FBI, local law enforcement and all that involved in the case. And I'm guessing, which we have no proof of, private investigators that Biomom apparently hired that we don't see any proof of.
Right.
So
right.
if those private investigators, the FBI, local police, 3 DAs, and us as sleuths can't figure it out, how the fuck does Terry, or how the fuck does Biomom Desiree know it's Terry?
Right. Right. Because that's what she wants it to be.
It's like a Karen who won't quit. It's like like I said before, we could prove to Desiree that we could show her all the evidence in the world that Terry did not do this. Her mind and her brain is so mapped after all these years and is so diluted and toxified. There's no counseling to bring her back to tell her otherwise. She's lost down the matrix. You know what I mean? There's no bringing her back. She immortally hates Terry.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We could walk in with Kyron and he could be like, I was in Jamaica having a blast, and she would still be like, it was Terry.
Terry set it up.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then she would try to pull all these fucking weird ass Bible, dates out of there, like she's been doing, trying to say, well, he came back on the day before Mother's Day, and it was a shot in my. She did it because that was the day that I had said that I had breast cancer. Or, I was like, shut the fuck up. You're so involved with yourself that you think everybody is involved with you. Nobody cares about you, Desiree.
Is Red Bull back yet?
Nah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna, when she comes back, I'm skipping. I got to get ready for work.
You're good. Yeah, because I got to get ready for work myself too. So I hope she comes back sooner than later so we can wrap this up.
Right.
Because I can't turn off her StreamYard.
And that's what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
Let me look at the chat and see what we've got going on here.
I'm looking at it too right now. Rose is all over this, boy. Rose and Rainey.
Right.
Well, we expect Rainey to be involved.
See, and Rainey said even the Walshes tried to sue Sears. It doesn't make any sense.
Correct. Yeah, and Adam Walsh's case was international. I mean, everybody knew about that. The little boy got his head cut off. And they still didn't find the head.
No, and they never did really get justice because the guy died.
Yep. And what kills me is he never told them where the head was. They could not, to this day, they don't know where the boy's head is.
And that's horrible. That is. I'm not a big John Walsh fan, but it's horrible that you don't know where your son's head is.
I agree. Yeah, I followed up a little bit on the story of John Walsh. I liked him up until I found out about his background and how, all that manipulation and all that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I'm not a fan of Adam Walsh. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely used this to the to the most.
Well, he's kind of like the female. Well, I wouldn't say the female version of Biomom, but he exasperated and used it to his advantage to monetize off of the death of his son. And not only did he do that, but according to
Rainey said they didn't find the body; they found his head.
Wait,
that's what it was. That's what it was. I got it reversed. That's what it was.
Who are you talking about?
Adam Walsh.
Oh, this so
we were talking about. We were comparing Biomom's tenacity to all the other cases, because we're in the crime niche and we study all these cases and stuff, from our couches or whatever. But as far as like our tenacity and comparing these with other cases, such as Elizabeth Smart and stuff like that, the fact that he's a small boy, has eye problems, and then all these factors that were going against him, I'm not saying his worth is not the same as Elizabeth Smart, but when you're talking about like pedophiles, especially, like sexual deviants, when you look at these cases, like compared to Elizabeth Smart, the kidnappers, when they kidnap boys like Adam Walsh, they do what they do and they get rid of the body because the boy is not worth, the hassle. Whereas a female, they'll keep a female around because they keep wanting to go back for that female. They don't know if they're going to get another one in the same instance. I can't remember the case, but there was a guy, I think it was like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, who had kidnapped girls that were in his neighborhood and had them in his basement. And after a couple of years, one escaped. Yeah. And then they found out that he was and he had them like 3 girls trapped in the basement, but one was down there longer than all the others, and and saw all this shit going on, and then finally had escaped or whatever. But
Castro.
But the point I'm getting at is that these predators value female targets more than they value male targets. So,
and of course, I had to bring up Steven Stainer because I can't let my heart go there. So I'm going to hold on to Steven Stainer.
But what I'm saying is, traditionally, these predators want females more than they want males, as far as
realistically, you are right.
Yeah, longevity of captivity. So the odds of Kyron being alive, truthfully, is not that well. So, like we were talking before, Red Bull, my focus would have been on the drainage ditches, that were on the property. I would have been looking in the woods for any, where bears try to hibernate in like little cubby holes or whatever, try to pull them into a little cave, or whatever. I would have been focusing on where I could find animals with tracks that, like bear tracks that were going into like a cave or whatever, because that body being pulled down there to be mauled on is not going to have the same smell as it would if it was laying on the ground, open to the air. So to have all those cadaver dogs out there smelling around the creek and, right behind the school isn't going to do any good if that bear or that mountain lion or whatever grabbed that child and took him to a den.
Yeah, see, we talked about that earlier, and I told Harry, even though they didn't want to use his services, he did say he went to the school, but it was so contaminated, like he couldn't do anything. Like he said that he searched, he looked, but it was super contaminated.
So my question is after this happened with Kyron, did the school shut down the science programs years later with announcing it?
No.
And, or they keep doing the same fucking shit?
Oh yeah, they continue to do. I mean, if you go to that school and just look, they've got cameras, but anybody can go up and get right into the, right up to the doors. That there's still not any real security that I see.
Well, cameras are only good for evidence. Cameras aren't a deterrent. Those are good for after the fact. They're not going to stop somebody from spray painting the lens or wearing a mask or whatever. So cameras ain't shit.
You can walk into that school. There's no like I told you earlier about remember Coffee, when we were on the phone and on the video, there was like people playing basketball right there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I've never seen a school like that.
Yeah. Well, again, we live in the city too, and it's pretty rural from what I'm understanding out there. So
yeah,
I just can't imagine 2023, looking back 15 years now, I just can't imagine parenting the same way then as I do, as I do right now. I can't imagine being so relaxed, with my parenting just because of the times.
True.
But I guess there are, I don't think there's any communities anymore, but I know that growing up, I would hear about, especially in Canada, about how the crime is so bad we can't even leave our doors unlocked anymore and all this stuff. And me always growing up in the city, I never knew a convenience of ever not locking my door.
I grew up in a neighborhood where I never locked my door, and my husband is like you, and every door needs to be locked. So in our house, there's sort of that. I'm that relaxed, and he's got everything locked down. So definitely, there's definitely that culture change there. Guys, I just wanted to break in because I got to get ready for work.
I know you do, and I got to fill out these forms. I also, I'm going to get back on you guys because I do want to go over something that somebody said on our live the other day, and I spoke to Harry yesterday, and this is really important. So
it is important, and I'm sorry I'm going to miss it.
I know. I'm so, you guys, Harry is amazing. You guys need to back off. Um, so Norman, thank you as always for coming on. I know we have a lot of stuff coming up too, and we'll just see what comes up next.
No worries.
Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, not only to us, but to the Norman Nick Show. Have a good day.
Bye. I love you.
Bye.
All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be posting these documents, the whole thing. Come join me. I'm not going to make a thumbnail. I'm just going to go live. Arctic, I know how you feel about Harry, and I want you to see this last live. Okay, there is a chick. I'll explain, but I got to fill out these forms. Arctic, everybody, please join me in about 20 minutes. Please go subscribe to Arctic Box True Crime, The Norman Nick Show, White Boy Lockdown Radio, Damaged Goods with No Regrets. And I have some more to say, but you guys, I have to fill out these documents, so I kind of missed the whole conversation. But I'll be back. Love you all. Thank you.